I'm Aish and from the Bands podcast.
And I'm Swy, also known as Swy on the internet, of Swycast fame.
And welcome to Bellejoy.
I question if you heard that.
Yes, you question me.
I get to ask the questions.
Yes.
Okay, no pressure. Okay, so this one over here wants to record her vocals for this 2016 edition of our beginning of the year episode. I haven't really figured out a full name, an official name for it. We'll figure it out at some point. As the tradition suggests, 1966. I mean, this time we're switching things up because where before we would be doing top 5 of the mainstream and sort of indie, depending on where it applies. And then the news, we decided to make things easier since you're nowhere near me now. So it'll be hard to coordinate. I say that, but yeah, we're gonna choose one album or one song per decade.
Or we could do the album and pick a song from the album.
Half of my choices were just songs because I couldn't think of the albums. And 1986 has been never blank because I couldn't think of anything. So you could say I'm not pulling my weight. I'm not pulling straps. But Aisha is the music journalist in waiting. I'm the story-based storyteller.
It's very
Obviously, okay. Don't remind me of that. So obviously one is more qualified to talk about this than the other. But let's begin with the year of year of political turmoil, although there seems to be a lot of that where it came from.
Yeah, we're talking about 2016 or 1966.
Or even 2026, even though we're recording this 30th December 2025, but you get the idea.
Mm.
Okay, 1966, you tell me.
So I've chosen You Don't Have to Say You Love Me by Dusty Springfield, but it's actually a compilation, technically speaking, in the US, which combines some of her releases from her previous album, Everything's Coming Up Dusty, from the year before, 1965. And I'm a massive fan of Dusty Springfield. I mean, I absolutely love how this alter ego, which was Dusty, because her original name was Mary O'Brien. And I like the story of how it came to happen, because one day she decided to just get the beehive, put on the glamorous gowns and go, here's Dusty. And I like how she used her persona as well, and of course the voice. I Only Want to Be With You is good, but You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, which is actually a translation of an Italian love song, that's good as well. And that's one of the main songs on the album. So I love that song especially.
Now, I'm sure we did talk about her a little bit last year, but I don't think we went too in depth on Dusty.
Yes, it's been explained. I'm just curious as to why no one's made a biography about her, because they've done Freddie Mercury, they've done Amy Winehouse, they've done Elton John. I mean, you've got the title of the film already. It's either I Only Want to Be With You or You Don't Have to Say You Love Me. I'm still waiting.
Why would you say those two titles are apt for a potential biopic?
Because it's usually named after the most famous song the artist has sung, so it's probably one of those two.
Slight tangent for Bob Dylan. I mean, A Complete Unknown is probably not the go-to song you think of. Maybe some people would think it is, but others will be like, Rolling in the Wind, or The Death of.
Because you can't call her biographic film spooky, even though it's one of the most she did write, that song came out in 1968, but that song was only released in America, if I remember rightly.
And I mean, Son of Preacher Man would not make sense at all.
1969 that came out anyway.
Anything else on Dusty, or shall we move on to 1976?
Let's move on to the disco era.
Among other genres, but disco, I guess.
I love my disco.
Even though Todd and Co would be like, in the 90s, people hated disco.
That was just, they were too ashamed to say that they liked it.
People were literally burning disco vinyls in American football stadiums in the 80s or something. You're going to tell me they were pretending? But you get the idea.
Yes, I do.
So, Arrival by ABBA. Why have you chosen
The Holy Grail of ABBA songs. Okay. Just because there were two previously, there was Ring Ring in 1973, Waterloo, which of course you all know from 1974 because of that one song on it. No one's heard of it. It's called Waterloo. You know that one.
Napoleon did not surrender, in fact.
Yes, thank you for the historical accuracies, but I overlooked that as it's ABBA. Arrival's got Dancing Queen, Money, 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 Know Me, Knowing You, the title track, which acts like a choral song, which I was going to sing, but A, my voice is hurting, and B, I don't want to do it. And I just love ABBA. I've got some other songs on there, and there's one about a violin, actually. There's one about a violin, and there's another one about a tiger.
Is the violin called Stradivari or something?
No, it's not. No, it's like a metaphor, but I'm trying to figure out how on earth that relates to a violin.
Instead of SOS, let's go for SOV. Save our violins instead of save our souls.
Well, SOS was released the previous year.
I know, I just wanted to say that.
Dancing Queen is track 2 on the album. I own the vinyl of this, so that makes it even more special. It's from 2011, so there might be a 50th anniversary version of it out, maybe. I'm not getting that, though. I've already got my vinyl from 2011, and I just don't know what. I mean, I've covered all the songs that were on it. So Money, Money, Money is good, and also don't go for anyone who's got more money than you, because money, money, money must be funny in a rich man's world, and that's my motto. Well, not one of mine, but it's a good saying in life.
In the world of the 2020s, money, money, money does feel kind of apt.
Yes, it does.
I'm trying to think of questions to ask you, but I mean, at the same time, my brain is just empty because it's been drained out by this 2025 and maybe imposed by. Sorry, Abba, but we're moving swiftly on to 1986.
Yes, we are.
And why have you chosen these people by these people?
Right, I'll explain. The Shop Assistants were a Scottish indie pop band formed in Edinburgh in 1984. They originally were on the indie labels Villa 21, the Subway Organisation, 53 and a Third, which also included the Vaselines, and then went on the major label Chrysalis, well, the sub-label Blue Guitar, and only released one album in 1986, which is called Shop Assistants, although when it was re-released later on, it was called Will Anything Happen? And oddly enough, one of the Pastels, Annabelle Wright, was the vocalist of that band in its original configuration, and then she was replaced by Karen Taylor, who in turn was joined with Alex Taylor, who sadly died in 2005. And their first release was Safety Net in 1986, and they also got played on Radio 1 and appeared in the Festive 50 in 1985 and 1986, and were also featured on the legendary, sorry to use the term, C86 compilation, It's Up to You. But what I like about Shop Assistants, I'm just going to call it Shop Assistants, not calling it Will Anything Happen, is the songs are, it does remind me of the chords. I was going to say Primal Scream, 1986, with, what's the song called? It's on C86 and I can't remember what the song called because everyone covers it. Velocity Girl, that's the one. And I also like the harmonies as well and the singing that Alex does on the album. And one of my favourite songs is I Don't Want to Be Friends With You. Because of the way the song is structured, we've got Alex singing and she goes, don't want to be friends with you, don't want to be friends with you, like that. And if you want more information about them, they appear in the Postcards from Scotland book, which came out last year, which is about the 80s and the 90s, which I highly recommend. There's a sequel coming out to that too.
Speaking of radio, I think that would be a good halfway point to mention that Aisha does host a radio show. I mean, it's not like officially, like BBC Radio Scotland or something where you'll be hearing it on all of their airwaves, but she does host a show that's as close to radio for those with, legal means as possible. What is it called?
It's Friday with Aish and Swy.
Yeah, I may have mentioned your show once or twice on the pod so far. I definitely mentioned it at least once, but my brain sucks, so I don't remember. Did I mention it in the second Mercury episode? Did I mention it in the end of your episode? Actually, the end of the episode I'm re-recording for certain reasons, so I must have mentioned it in the second Mercury episode. If you haven't checked it out, listen to it. even though it probably does better as a video version that I decided not to release because the the rendering on it really the DaVinci Resolve has let me down.
Have you
So
tried Audacity?
what when I say DaVinci, I'm talking about the video format because the video format
Oh, sorry.
like they like because the thing is I no longer have access to Premiere Pro and I stopped using it anyways because I felt like it was slowing me down. So DaVinci I'm used to now, except the rendering on DaVinci isn't as good. So the syncing of video to audio ends up getting thrown off but quite a long way by like 5 seconds at most, which is not good enough. So that's a long process that I'll probably do an update episode on if I decide to do it. But yeah, you did play Shop Assistants once on your show, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I wonder, as for you continuing the radio show, what you're gonna do with it.
You'll have to wait and see.
Ah, so no spoilers, huh?
Oh, like Back to the Future, there's no spoilers. But to be continued. Let me get there.
Okay.
You are going to hear some water, by the way, so do apologise. The boiling is coffee.
You're boiling a kettle.
I'm making my dinner at the same
Well, being able to hear you for your final three suggestions will be a bit of a challenge.
time. No, I didn't.
So, from Shop Assistants, you talk about C86 and all that, to,
Yes.
I mean, 96, where I know Sarah Records has been dead for a year at that point, and there's
Yes.
nothing directly to do with the next album or band you're going to mention, but I just
Yes.
decided to mention them anyways because, the sound isn't too dissimilar. Like at least
Yes,
20%
yes.
similar.
To be honest, again, as I mentioned to you earlier, well, not here, earlier, I did mention about the free releases and songs, specifically Season Heavenly option by Heavenly. Carry on though.
So, the year of Wannabe One's Mama.
The year of Wannabe, the year of going out, the year of the horse. I don't know what it was actually. I can search this up while you can do this. I don't know.
Or Garbage, or It Girl, or many
The
others.
year of the rats.
The rats. What's that supposed
Yep,
to mean?
it's 1996 and Chinese horoscope.
Wow. Okay.
Mine is El Gote because I am a goat and I roam.
But here it's Tiger Milk. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened?
Well, it's not the year of the tiger this year, I think.
Or that year for that matter. And also, they had at least one other release that same year that you probably could have chosen
Yes,
easily, but
yes, I
you
could.
want to go for the
But
you went for the OG. Sorry for interrupting.
when you put two albums in the span of, if I'm right, 7 months, 8 months, seven, I think,
June versus October, right?
November.
July, August, September, October, November. Wait, July, August, September. That's 5 months.
Sorry, my brain isn't very good at counting maths. Um, well, when you have two albums, one of which actually I don't know why, but oh well, hang on. I'm getting that shy thing again. I hate this. Right. Come on.
You're gonna have to speak louder than your utensils.
Okay. So I chose this one because it's the earliest one to turn 30, despite the fact it's got one of my, even though the second one's got one of my favourite lines on it, and majority of all my favourite songs, I decided to pick the eldest and the firstborn. Partly because if you put it into the context of 1996 in music, you had your boy band, you had your girl band, you had your solo bands, but you had, say, nothing like sounded the sort, because to pick a random example, Supergrass didn't sound like that in 1996 or the following year or the year before that. Suede, same again, but that was more focused on the Bowie influences. So there was nothing that sounded like this at the time. No, no, I just like how it sounds so different to everything, and you can also argue it does sound like a Sarah Records type release as well.
I mean, compared to the next record, I mean, it definitely sound. It probably would. I mean, I do need to listen to more Sarah records, admittedly. I do feel like off the bat, Tiger Milk is about as Sarah records-esque as BNS would ever get. Then
I
Sinister
got
onwards.
Yes. Ironically, what happened a couple of months later with a certain member whose name was and whose name
Well, her surname is Martin, so I mean, there's that.
exactly, which also reminds me of my favourite shoes, even though they're spelt wrong.
And for those listening who don't understand what we're saying, that's Sarah Martin, multi-instrumentalist,
Yes, guitarist, flute, keyboards,
violin,
singing, violin, and recorder as well sometimes.
not harmonica though.
Not harmonica, no, 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 no.
That, that's Stevie Jackson's job.
Yes, and incidentally, Funny Little Frog is 20 on January the 16th, and also his birthday.
I mean, you didn't choose that album for '06 though, so. But
Yeah. No, the
there
reason is
is,
I didn't want to choose two by the same band in 1 year, in 2 years.
but as Vic Galloway would say, a bit of a parallel line in it, sort of, but not in the way you expect because Isabel Campbell.
Yes, Milk White Sheets.
Why?
Folk.
Folk.
It's so this album was recorded shortly after Ballad of the Broken Seas, her first collaboration album with the late Mark Lanegan, and that came out on the 30th of January that year. And when that album finished recording, she was inspired to listen to the works of Jean Ritchie and I've forgotten the other person's name. I am so sorry. Who mostly do folk-inspired music or covers of the Round Index, which put another way is traditional folk songs. So the album has some traditional folk songs on it and her own compositions, which originally I thought were not her own compositions because they were done so well. I literally thought they were like covers, but there's only about 7 or 5. I can't remember exactly how many, but I have to check the track listing for you.
Whilst you search up the track listing, I would say that Isabel Campbell, after leaving the band, Belle and Sebastian, her solo career, I mean, not, I mean, I don't know how prolific it really is to this day, but I mean, compared to, say, for example, Little Mix and Spice Girls, I mean, what their careers, solo
Why are we
careers, you
covering
don't
the
really
pop
hear,
bands?
you, you don't, I'm sorry, but you don't hear of their solo records as much as you do Isabel Campbell's, unless you're heavily into them. So,
Yes, but actually, you do hear hers quite a lot as well because if you're, to be honest, if you're in one of my favorite bands and you're actually a solo singer, then it's actually pretty good because I was also going to pick Band of the Broken Seas for this year, but I went with this one because this one's not well known. And I was going to go for TLP, but I have my policy of not doing 2 bands in the same year or 2 bands in 2 different years because that would be unfair to people. So the track listing I have, I Love Is Teasing, Willow Song, Grenadine, Loving Hannah, so that's 4 of them, are all either covers or traditional folk songs, but the second one, Willow Song, is a cover, and that's from the 1973 film The Wicker Man.
wow, I have a loose connection to that film. I'm not allowed to
A
mention
very
why.
loose connection.
Once, once I'm allowed to mention it, if I can get permission from the people involved, then I'll probably talk about it more on the pod and with you. So until then, consider it tight-lipped and confidential. Are you still here?
I am. I was just waiting for you to finish.
Did you mention your favorite songs on this record?
I have not actually. Renadine is one of my favourites, which I've realised is actually a traditional folk song. And it's about a ballad, usually, whenever it's sung, it's either called Renard or Renadine, and it's referencing a fox, Renard the fox, who, incidentally, I didn't find this out quite recently, Robin Hood the film, the Disney film from 1973,
The
is
best Robin Hood
referencing
the best
Yes,
Robin
the
Hood.
best Robin
I,
Hood. Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry. I'm sorry, Alan
No, I
Rickman.
agree. I
I'm sorry.
agree. I
Most people
totally
say it's the
agree.
one where Alan Rickman is the sheriff. I'm just like, I haven't watched it. I don't think I care enough to watch it, even though it's Alan freaking Rickman. But the 1973 Robin Hood from Disney, even though that decade is from the dark period where they've not been pulling up study films, I
And
still
the
think,
following decade before and after that, but not including the Little Mermaid at the end of
would you
the decade.
would you count the 60s films to be dead as well, minus The Sword and the Stone?
Apart from no, Sword in the Stone is I thought it was 70s.
I
No, you're
swear
right,
the Sword.
1967.
Yeah,
No,
wait,
1964, 64, 65.
yeah,
No,
because I
1963.
because I'm pretty sure Walt Disney himself did at least live to see that film come out.
Yeah, 63. Anyway, back without having a tangent. Oh, it was Anne Briggs and Shirley Collins that she was influenced by. Now I've got their names. Okay, so the five that I can see. Okay, so the five traditional folk songs with a new arrangement are Ola Was Teasing, Hori Horo, which I didn't cover, which is a Scottish word to indicate sorrow. Renadine, Loving Hannah, spelt without a G, and Are You Going to Leave? Are You Going to Leave Me? Ah, I forgot. Oh, and she also did a she also did a EP of some songs as well, which includes my favourite song on there, Lady of Snakes, which is an instrumental, but it sounds haunting. The majority of folk songs sound haunting.
Well, does Gabba Affair sound that haunting to you though?
Depending on which arrangement you give me.
I'm talking about the Sam Garfunkel one.
Yes.
It doesn't feel that haunting to me.
Well, I've got a really weird definition of haunting. If it gives me goosebumps, it does. So there's also a connection to the Smashing Pumpkins on the White Sheets, by the way.
Of all people, Smashing Pumpkins.
James Iyer played guitar on well actually they were actually yeah played guitar on the album.
It's like Gary Lightbody of Snow Patrol being on Taylor Swift's Red. What? Yeah, and I found that out recently. I'm just thinking, how how do those two correlate? Hmm? But moving swiftly to an album that you decided to
No,
gift
no,
me
no, no,
last.
no, 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 no. Hang on. Before you do that, I just want to mention there's an a cappella song on here as well.
Not like, Bobby McFerrin levels of acapella.
No, not that type. It's just her song. It's just her singing the traditional folk song Love and Hannah as well. Okay, I'm
So
prepared for Teenage Fan Club. Don't know. Okay, I'm ready.
you gifted me that one last year for some reason.
I did.
Oh, last year would be 2024, not 2025, by the way, guys. You know when we're
So
recording
that's
this,
2 years
in the
ago.
beginning.
Nearly two.
Well, as of the summer, it would be 2 years ago. So right now it's not even a year and a half. But still. By the way, it is an okay album, I would say. I listened to it once on the coach to
Right.
Tennessee.
Admittedly, I've only heard one song off it. Backs
And
away.
you gave me the album and I've listened to it more than you. What?
Uh, when
And
you get
they're your favorite band, bro.
well, they are.
Well, one of your favorites.
Yes, yes. Along with the Magnificent Seven, as I'm calling them now. It's easier to say.
Or eight if you count the roadie.
Yes, just double checking they're seven. Yep, they're seven.
Sorry,
I
what's the
just
name of the
checked.
roadie?
Sarah Wilson. She plays the cello,
That's
and
two
she plays the
Sarahs.
recorder. Yes.
There's a lot of parallels where that came from, but that's for another episode.
Oh, please.
Potentially, if we get the document done. I had to do my bit as well. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
If we don't get that done by the 25th anniversary of On Waking Up to Us, which is November 26th,
You're going to haunt me in my sleep.
no. I'm going to make a playlist of every single song they have ever recorded and make you listen to it 35 times at least.
Finally, the name of this 2016 album is literally the name of a song that precedes the 2016 album that I chose by the same
Yes, it's
artist.
here, but it's here. It's nothing to do with Alicia Cara. This is a Scottish band. Well,
But I will talk about this Yakara more in my segment of the episode. So moving on to the fansies.
Because if we called them what they actually have that nickname for in Scotland, I don't think I would be. Yeah,
I mean,
no.
this episode would be rated explicit for one. I don't know if he's going to be on air by that point.
And all the Americans would be slightly confused as to what we were talking about.
Yeah, because they call their our chest bag, a different name, which is that name, which is stupid.
TFC.
Anyways, yes, TFC. Here. Why did you choose them for 2016?
Well, it was either that or Night Thoughts by Spades, and I decided I didn't want to do another orchestral heavy album, as I've already covered that with a certain album from 1996, technically speaking, and also I've also covered it from 2006, so I decided to do something light. And this one is actually more, it's like Shadows from 2010 in some reason, not crossed with, it's more like after Songs from Northern Britain. It's not as heavy as the Bandwagon-esque, which is 35 soon. Well, actually it's 35 now. But it's more got in common with like the slowness of, I don't know, Ain't That Enough from the soon-to-be 29-year-old album, Songs from Northern Britain.
Woo-hoo.
I'm in Love, I actually like. That's from here, by the way.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then what happened 7 years? No, not 7 years. 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 20, 7 years. I got it right. Yes. 7 years later, they came back with Nothing Lasts Forever.
Nothing lasts forever.
But
Nothing lasts forever.
I can tell you this is the second album that Dave McGowan has been on for Teenage Fan Club.
And he's also in the other band that we like to talk about a lot, which we did mention. Very, not even briefly. I was going to say briefly.
But technically speaking, they're full-blown Glaswegian, technically speaking, because Teenage Fan Club are from Bellejoy, which is just outside the city.
Everyone loves to talk about Bellejoy if you're Glaswegian.
Oh yeah, and by the way, congratulations Scotland for qualifying for the World Cup, and hopefully you do well.
99%. I'm sure they'll get beaten by Brazil.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too, but I want to be hopeful.
Although Alistair Campbell thinks that Brazil is not as they used to be. But come on, man. Even in the current form.
Ironically, 1986, 40 years ago, World Cup, who won?
But Maradona's Argentine, not Brazilian.
Oh, my bad, sorry, yeah. I meant Hamilton. But you can argue and say that Brazil did win a World Cup.
2010?
No, that was Spain.
I
think it was definitely in the 60s, I think they won.
Sweet Caroline.
Oh, while we're here,
Two teams have to use that song as the winning match. The US and the UK. How is that going to work?
Oh yeah, and Wales was not there.
For your information, guys, I don't think Americans actually use Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond for their winning song in football. Even though it should.
No, they don't.
Why did the UK use it, but Americans don't? He's an American artist.
Oh yes, and while on the subject of football, our women's coach has been made an honorary Dame.
Wow. And who became Sir recently? Idris Elba. Unrelated, but still. That is quite a compliment.
It still feels pretty weird to say that because he's gone from being in Absolutely Fabulous, which was a show back in the 90s, all the way up to playing Knuckles. Sorry, did I say playing? I meant voicing. I do apologise.
Imagine there was a live act. Imagine that the human people actually had to play the characters themselves. Cosplaying hedgehogs and echidnas and that. That would be hilarious.
I mean, we didn't cover 99. Oh, can I give some honourable mentions quickly?
Honourable mentions your way.
Okay, so apologies in advance to, as I didn't mention them, so I'm just going to cover the ones I haven't covered. For 1981, I have Happy Birthday by Altered Images. 1991, Fox-based Alpha and Bandwagon-esque. Other albums from 1996. 1977, If You're Feeling Sinister, Coming Up, Dizzy Heights, It Girl, First Band on the Moon, Love Life, Placebo, and Radiant Blue. 2001, Rocket to the Moon, Beautiful Garbage, Paper Scissors Stone, We Love Life, Biggest Bluest Hi-Fi, When It's All Over, We Still Have to Clear Up, and You'll Get Scared Now You're Here. Apologies to 2006, as I didn't mention. Battle of the Broken Seas, The Life Pursuit, Let's Get Out of This Country, Never Say Goodbye, second LP by Assistance, We Are the Pipettes by the Pipettes, and a Jarvis Cocker record. 2011, Hotel Shampoo by Griffiths and Explorer by Paris Matthews, and Apologies to Suede for Night Thoughts Not Being Mentioned for 2016. And 2021, Endless Arcade by Teenage Fan Club, and I've been trying to tell you by Saint Etienne.
And that Aisha May McNamara out, the one time she actually gets to contribute to the Bellejoy podcast, partly named
Happy New
after
Year.
her, which is wow that I've been managing to hold the fort of this podcast for 2025 less successfully. I mean, Pocket Lint was good, but apart from which, I think I do beat myself up way too much to ever do anything right. But I'm not doing it again. Anyways, consider this a good old break while I try and sort out my own segment.
Yes, we're here. Aren't we? That's why get the show on the road. Now, unlike Aish, the music journalist in waiting, I'm the screen-based storyteller who hasn't gathered his thoughts out very clearly, so this is going to speak very, very rambly and disorganized, I'm telling you. Season 3, not up to a great start. Or maybe I'm just being self-critical for no reason. As I said in Aish's section, I'm not gonna go too in-depth with the albums, based on the fact that I'm more of a tracks kind of guy than an album guy. I mean, I do listen to albums, but I resonate with more specific tracks than literal albums, so it's easier for me to talk about specific tracks. And to kick off with 1966, I'm going to start with my all-time favorite soul. Got it? Soul? Soul artist? Soul? Okay, Otis Redding. We got subject of a handful of my own songs. If I say a subject, I name drop him, and his popular songs. His last popular song. But we're not going to talk about that one because I'm not here to be sad. On the 25th of March 2026, I'm recording this, even though you're listening or watching this. No, you're listening to this in June. You're listening to this because Aish has not shown her face, and I don't feel I want to show my face either. Complete and unbelievable, the Otis Redding Dictionary of Soul. It's a very long name. I butchered it a little bit. I don't care. Point is, it's his fifth studio album. It came out October 1966 on the Stax label, which yesterday, as a recording, me and Ash talked about record labels, and she said Otis Redding was on Atlantic. I was like, I'm sure that's publishing though, not recording, and that's what I mean because Stax labels exist, although they were probably owned by Atlantic at the time. And what do I know, man, in my 20s. The two singles that the album produced are the singles I'm currently torn on which one to choose for my track for this particular year. Fa Fa Fa, in brackets sad song, is one of those tunes that at first sounds really nonsense in core response. It's like it's not serious, but I do feel the lyrics do lend itself to being genuine and quite, lighten up the mood, or doing it in a bit of a jokey way, which for a serious crooner like Otis Redding, I wouldn't say it's unheard of. It's rare, to say the least, for him, and soul artists in general, actually. Like, most times you figure out soul being a bit jokey in your songs, saying nonsense words isn't really one of them. But, yeah, here we are. It's a good song. I like, particularly in the chorus, where he's like, fair, 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 fair. And he's like, your turn. It's the trumpets and the brass and woodwinds in general who are going. Then the song ends, everybody's turn, and all merge together, and the trumpets go at the same time. Awesome. The bridge is a good contender though. Like, reminds us to listen to his message, to just be happy. I haven't got the lyrics out, so I am definitely butchering this, but that's how I understood it at the time of listening to it last, which was admittedly in February because Ramadan, we didn't listen to music much. I know. Now the other track that became a single, is a song that's had a very, very long tradition. So try a little tenderness. Man, that song itself, not just the Otis Redding version, but the song itself, it's like one of those songs where if it's not on the Great American Songbook, it's sort of adjacent because everybody and their mums be recording their own versions. When I say Great American Songbook, most people today would think, right, it's a literal book, but people write this, or people leave lyrics in. No, it's just a moniker that's been given to a long list of tunes from the 30s to the 60s that would basically a bunch of songwriter duos, songwriter teams be writing songs, lyrics, and pitching it to record studios of today so that artists that were big in the heyday, like, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, maybe Smith, all them Donnies record their versions of the song. So covers didn't so much exist as we understand them today. It's more their version of that song that was written by this songwriting team. In this case, I don't know if Try Little Tenderness was on the Great American Songbook, and I'm not going to look it up yet. That's probably going to be an episode topic later down the line if I decide it's good enough. Initially published in 1932 by Campbell, Connolly and Co. Limited. The point is, it was first recorded on 8th of December 1932 by the Ray Noble Orchestra. If you know them, you know them. Then Bing Crosby, the name that I do know, recorded his version on January 9th, 1933. And then you have Bob and Al Pearson recorded their version in 1933 as well. Frank Sinatra did a version for his debut album in 1946. The debut album being called The Voice of Frank Sinatra. 1960 album, 19 Easy as well. Now, on to Otis Redding. So, it is a really, really popular version. Like, everybody remembers this particular version of the song when you think about Try Little Tenderness. Particularly because the previous versions kind of just follow a similar structure in that they just kind of mellow to me. But when it comes to him, like, we start a bit low key, singing the lyrics and all that, and then after the bridge, from the bridge onwards actually, kind of crescendo sort of, and then stays on a new equilibrium for the third verse. And then he cuts the third verse midway through, so that the brass and the woodwinds and the instruments can do their own thing. And then he goes, "You got to hold her, squeeze her, never leave her," which, by the way, was never in the actual lyrics originally or in the previous versions. So that's one addition that he added. He's just losing himself with try to tenderness, try to tenderness. Come on, man, you got to hold her, you got to squeeze her, never leave her. Got to, got to, got to. And that was just having fun. Like, Otis Redding knows how to have fun when he wants to. Most of his songs are kind of like, longing for this person. In the case of Respect, which Aretha Franklin is very, very well known, almost eclipsed his version. She did it in 1967. His version came out in 1965. That song specifically went into the woman's not treating him respectfully when he comes home. Where she did it where, "You just give me respect, dog. Dude, I'm your woman. You treat me with respect." Anyways, distracted. So, Redding, in his version of Try to Tenderness, was by Booker T and the MGs. The one that well known. That one. And Stack producer Isaac Hayes worked on the arrangement. Sweet, Now, there's a bunch of production stuff that'll take me the whole day to explain. Just know that Duke Ellington may have been some form of inspiration for this specific version. You have to look into it yourself. Okay? There's another version of the song by, I forget the name, by Three Dog Night. Well, no one cares about them. And Dr. Strangelove. Yes. It's in the 1964 film Dr. Strangelove. At least the instrumental version of it. Next up, we move on to 1976. because that's always been a pretty good year, if you ask me. Yeah. Oh. The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It was on the album Summertime Dream. That particular album is Gordon Lightfoot's 11th studio album, by the way. He's a Canadian artist, singer-songwriter. He died in 2023. In the 60s and 70s, he was very, very well known. He was like up there with Joni Mitchell and them, man. Yeah, it was released in June 1976, the album. The particular song, Record of Edmund Fitzgerald, it was inspired by Gordon Lightfoot hearing on the news back in 1975. This ship, it's a bulk carrier, it carried some goods. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald, it sank in Lake Superior on November 10th, 1975, and he memorialized the tragedy with such poeticism, or poetry, whichever word you prefer to use, that it kind of just leaves you wondering, how does he come up with these lyrics? I'm telling you. Now, since then, he had re-recorded the song in 1988 for his Volume 2 of Gold. It's a compilation album, that's the point. After he died around May 2nd, if I remember correctly, 2023, the song got re-pushed into the charts, and I believe Great Lakes Maritime Academy, they did this tradition where ever since the ship sunk, they would ring the bell 29 times on that day the ship sunk for all 29 crew members who died. And since Gordon died himself, they added the extra bell to make it 30. So, yeah. Did I get that right? I get the feeling that I probably got that wrong. Yeah, me with research and little sleep. This is what's costing me. 29 for the lives lost that day back in 1975 on Lake Superior. I was right. Yeah, I was right. These are lyric. 29 times for the lives lost that day back in 75 on Lake Superior. Once for all lives lost at sea, and once for Gordon Lightfoot, who wrote the ballad of the ship sinking. So, if anything, it's 31. So I was wrong. But yeah, the lyrics are very, very poetic. The way that he starts it is he sets the scene by talking about Lake Superior, which in the local native tribe, they would refer to it as Guchigumi. So the legend lives on from the Chippewa on down on the lake that they call Gichigumi. I know I'm saying that wrong. And there's particular ones like, does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they have made Whitefish Bay if they put 50 more miles behind it. And he does take a few creative liberties with the actual tragedy itself, in particular what happened to cause the sinking. Like he changes the cause of that sinking a little bit. Like obviously because he wasn't there, so he didn't know how it happened. So the specific example, he describes a collapse of a hatchway prior to the wreck. He did make slight modifications to the lyrics each time as more information on the disaster became available. So I'll give him that for changing it according to the information. That's respectful. Like he's not just cash grabbing. I don't see Golden Knife as a guy who cash grab anyways. He was a nice guy. Well, I see. Yeah, he was a nice guy. I mean, his personal life was, particularly when it came to his marriages, was kind of messed up. But apart from that, he's a nice guy, and I like his writing process a lot. Maybe I'll talk about his writing process. We'll see. I also love the slide guitar that is ever present. Like it's very eerie. When you think slide guitar, you don't think eerie. Like it sounds very uppity, jolly. But here it kind of contrasts here with the overall tone of the lyrics and the way my mind is singing to make it sound even more eerie than it was before. So that's that for 1976. That's for 1986. Ooh, yeah, this is tricky for me because 1986 isn't a year that I think of that much. Sure, yeah, the Bangles releasing Walk Like the Egyptian around that time, and like Monday around that time. And also, Follow Me by R.E.M. was that year. Aside from that, though, not particular albums that I could think of. The Queen's Dead by the Smiths, though, I have been thinking of because I decided to give that one a listen, albeit not consistently, not from start to finish. So my memory of it is pretty spotty at best. I wanted to avoid talking about Big Mouth Strikes Back, but that's the only song I can remember right now. And even then, it's not strong in my memory. So I think I'll just leave 1986 as is. I just know that it's a good album from what little I've listened to. As usual, Morrissey's a very mellow, somber cadence and tone of voice is there. And the instrumentation, as usual, with Johnny Marr's guitar. I mean, is this janky this time compared to... I forget the name of the song, bro. Jeez. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We are going to cut straight to 1996 because, that's an album I can talk about. So, Mosey Shoals, I'll give you 10 seconds to figure out who that's by. Okay, that's more than 10 seconds. Well, anyways, Ocean Colour Scene, Mosey Shoals. A few weeks ago, I found out that they named that album after a bunch of things. So directly, they named it Moseley after the suburb of Birmingham that they grew up in. That so there's that, and then crap. There's an American inspiration, a soul inspiration to it. Let me think. Oh yeah, yes. So the title as a whole is a punning nod to the city of Mosey Shoals, which is somewhere in Alabama. It's a recording studio. I say it is a recording studio. Muscle Shoals is the name, rather. It's the site to a bunch of recording studios of the 1960s, where people would be recording their soul tunes. Yeah, most of the songs here are really, really good. So the Riverboat song is quite 12-bar bluesy, at least in the verse, and they really don't let up on that. The day we caught Train, the day we caught the train. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. I don't need to talk about that. I think Circle, yeah, it's a good song as well. And your pockets for no other reason. That's about all the things. Like about reasonable pay. That's a killer chorus, bro. Imagine saying that to politicians nowadays. Fleet in Mind, it's understated. It's mostly, it's not subtle, but like, it's not monotone either. What's the word I'm looking for? Where it stays on one path, kind of slow, but it still hits. 40 past midnight. So we're going ham on 40 past midnight. One for the road. Now, the lyrics for that one, I love them very much. Policemen and Pirates, another fun one. The downstream, very, very slow. You got it bad, but you never should. Crap, I forget the lyrics. Yeah, you got it bad, but you never should. Yeah, it doesn't matter. My brain has failed me. But yeah, that album is great. It's a coincidence that Day Tripper, or the live version of Day Tripper, is on the deluxe edition that came out in 2011. Day Tripper was also on Otis Redding's 1966 album. Obviously, it's a cover because the Beatles got there first, but man, everybody loving to cover that song for some reason. 2006, eh? So, whatever people say I am not. It's a good album. 23rd of January 2006. Make me feel old. I've not moved to this country by that point, but still, I feel old. Yeah, it's mad. Now, this is the album where the OG lineup was still intact. Obviously, Andy Nicholson, the bassist, left the band after this album to be replaced by Nick Cook, if I remember correctly. So, one of the few bands where the lineup kind of stays consistent, with only one person leaving and being replaced in like the 20 odd years that Arctic Monkeys have been around. And since they're from Sheffield. I mean, you already know they're from Sheffield based on the fact that you listen to them, and also the fact that I did an episode on a few Yorkshire-based acts. Otterdale, that's the episode. Check it out after this one. Cool. Everybody knows. I bet they look good on the dance floor. I don't need to talk about it because you hear it on the radio all the time. You've seen the music video for many times. It's an iconic one where he starts out in the studio, just be like, "So this song is called I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. Don't believe the hype." And then we just get into it, and then my head is on the drums. He's just showing off, putting up funny faces as he's drumming. That's just funny. That music video is classic. And the song goes down. The music video, I guess, is good. Yeah, still a good song though. If I had to pick a specific favorite though, Fake Tales of San Francisco. It's either that or Mardi Bomb, but I'm gonna go for Fake Tales because there's more happening with Fake Tales than Mardi Bomb. If I'm honest with you, yeah. Like, if you don't know what the song's about, it's basically a narration of the band's beginning, talking about their early gigs and how bands try to be like other bands. Typical, innit? Yeah, you can clearly tell the lyrics there that Alex Turner wanted to be a little bit funny as well, even though he's trying to be serious. Like, some people may disagree with that statement that I made, but I feel like the song is way more serious than they think it is. Like, to me at least, like he's making points. He's making pointers here, but by using comical situations like this wedding with the white wine sitting there and people forgetting their lines. Yeah, man. The point on Turner's lyrics sounding older than 18-year-olds, displaying a wiser and sadder tone. Kind of similar to Miley Cyrus, where I mean, she's 34. Yeah, you don't think that when you look at her or when you listen to her. Like, she sounds way older, or looks a bit older than she actually is. I do prefer favorite was Nightmare in 2007 to whatever people say I am not. More tracks on there get me, but we're not talking about that now, are we? So, honorable mentions before I get to 2016 that I can think of the top of my head. I will mention Fall On Me, because REM's 1980s sound is something that people don't think about these days. I think is actually pretty solid. Same thing in 1991, Use My Religion. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I've looked into OCS's somewhat, and Sway, which came out in 1990, so before the debut album in 92. It's baggy in the aesthetic, but you can tell that Simon Fowler is trying to push through against that. And in fact, the record label that they were on at the time pushed them to the more baggy sound for the first album, which they didn't want, and clearly showed that they weren't that passionate about it because it flopped. So that probably explains why, when I first listened to the album, it didn't really work for me, but oh well. Maybe I'll give it another go because Sway is really, really good song. And give it all away as well. Yeah, it's alright. Yeah, it's alright. What else can I say? 2005. Another honorable mention because Silent Alarm by Block Party is really, really solid. Is probably an understatement. It's like, I love Matt Tong's drumming. His drumming is ferocious. And Kelly's lyrics really, really make you think. Even if his singing is like misheard lyrics 101. Like, you need the songbook. You need to find the lyrics yourself before you listen to any of Silent Alarm. Otherwise, you're going to be confused. You're not going to hear correctly what half the words mean, or what half of what he's saying, you know. And finally, Alicia Cara. Jeez. I initially thought that Know It All came out in 2016, her debut album, but no, it came out in 2015. So I lied. But I like that album. The alternative R&B that no one thinks about is present in 2015 with Know It All. Here is still in my head, bro. Still in my head. Four Pink Walls as well. It's in my head as well. Okay, so let's cut to 2016, where I'm being a bit brief with this one because I have not listened to this whole album. So Shawn Mendes Illuminates. If you don't remember that one, you don't remember that one. But the particular song Mercy, I like it. I like it very much. Now, radio's been playing the remix, which, yeah, it's okay, but I wish they stuck with just playing the original version, the album version, album, single version, doesn't matter. He's begging for mercy, but he knows that is not easy to get mercy unless he's going to work hard for it. The music video is kind of doing a lot, though, where he's in this car and is drowning. Like, dude, you don't have to die begging for mercy that much, okay? Thank you. And mind you, he was like 18 at the time, so good for him. Good on him. Yeah. Before my head starts to hurt, I'm gonna end it here. Although, if Aish and I decide to do any predictions, then we'll let you know. I mean, I say that. It's like, it's not June by the time you're listening to this, so predictions are kind of just make no sense at this point. You know, whether or not this year or this season will be any more active than season 2, I don't know. But we'll see. I'm just taking it easy because Aish is in Dorset. I'm in London, struggling. Bro, I do sound so tired and depressed. It's actually not funny. Oh well. Anyways, goodbye.